Hey, what's up guys? Kool-Aid here. Today we're going to be talking about a very basic function that's used in every FPS I've ever played, and that is hip firing. I know, very basic, but I get asked a lot during my SMG infiltrator videos why I never ADS. So I figured I'd explain a little bit why this is, and I'm going to be talking only SMGs here as it's the one type of weapon you will pretty much never see me ADS with, and I think it's the one type of weapon that you really shouldn't ever ADS with. Now there are exceptions to every rule, of course, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. First, we'll start with the downside to hip firing. All SMGs share a 0.3 ADS cone of fire while standing and while moving. They also share a hip fire cone of fire of 1 while standing still and 1.5 while hip firing and moving. So as you can see, you're going to have a bigger cone of fire while hip firing, and inherently you are going to be less accurate. But those numbers, of course, are without any attachments equipped. If you start breaking down the attachments and how useful they are as an infiltrator, I would pretty much rule out the grip and the dark light flashlight. Now, you know, it's not that they don't have uses, but at the ranges you're going to be firing an SMG, whether you were to ADS or hip fire, the grip isn't going to really come into play as often as it would on, you know, a longer range weapon. The closer you are to your target, the more surface area you're going to have, so that recoil isn't going to play as big a part. As for the dark light flashlight, I just personally don't need one, as seeing infiltrators is not usually an issue, but it's also going to have to be highly monitored so you're not giving away your own position. So that leaves us with the laser and extended mags. Both are great options, but I've personally gone to using the laser on every SMG that I use. Obviously, that's because I prefer hip firing, but it's also because I don't really use like the Ns7 Pdw, which kind of fits into that exceptions category that I mentioned earlier, and we will come back to. So if you are running laser or advanced laser, that accuracy disparity really evens out and almost becomes null and void. According to the Planetside 2 wiki, the laser sight will reduce your cone of fire size by 37.5% when firing from the hip, while the advanced laser sight will further reduce the cone up to 50%. So with the laser or advanced laser equipped, you're looking at something like a 0.5 hip fire cone of fire while still, and more importantly, a 0.75 hip fire cone of fire while moving. ADS will still be more accurate, but it's very close. And there's one factor I've yet to talk about when it comes to accuracy, and that's the cone of fire bloom per shot. Both ADS and hip fire cone of fire bloom on the SMGs is 0.5 per shot. There are very few guns in the game that actually share that trait. Shotguns, sniper rifles, to name a few. But I believe the only other full auto gun that falls into this category is the mini chain gun. Furthermore, according to the wiki, not only does the laser tighten that cone of fire that we mentioned, but it also decreases the time it takes for your accuracy to steady after firing. So that bloom will reset faster if you have the laser equipped. So a slight reduction in accuracy is the one downside, but that's almost evened out by the advanced laser sight. So now let's talk about the upsides to hip firing. First and foremost, speed. You may remember in my Vandal review that I was raving about its 0.75 ADS move speed multiplier, and just how important a factor it was when comparing it to weapons with the standard move speed multipliers. Well, SMGs also have that 0.75 ADS move speed. But why move at 75% when you can move at full speed while hip firing? It's going to make side-to-side strafing that much more effective. And in SMG ranges, moving, strafing, that is the key to staying alive as an infiltrator. Also, by hip firing, you remove an entire process, which is scoping in. Yes, scope and time is pretty quick, but again, at these ranges with these high rate of fire weapons, by the time it takes you to scope in, you could have already had multiple shots in your target. It is possible to fire while scoping in, but that can easily result in some missed shots during the transition. Ultimately, removing this process not only makes you faster, but it's one less thing you have to worry about. And as an infiltrator, you know, when you're in the middle of a scrum between cloaking, uncloaking, reloading, crouching for deep cloak, removing any extra button management is always a good thing. It's also going to make you faster at tracking your enemies. If they are moving, you will have that faster move speed. But if you're like me, where I've actually adjusted my ADS sensitivity to be lower than my overall sensitivity, and you know, that is more of a personal preference thing, as I feel when I ADS, the lower sensitivity does help me, or helps my accuracy at longer ranges. But if you are someone like that, then there's even more reason to hip fire your SMG. So speed is the main reason, and some of them things I talked about might seem like very minute things. And the thing is, in a game like this, where time to kill is so incredibly low, all that stuff adds up. And just by not ADSing, you are going to save yourself a lot of time. You're just going to be overall a lot faster. Now, there are some other reasons as well. You know, I mentioned tracking your enemies. While aiming down sights, you're always going to have some blind spots in a tighter field of view. Now, if you're using a 1x reflex, it's typically not that bad, especially if you're VS. I love you guys' reflex sights. But it is still there. And even if you're not aiming down sights, just having optics mounted on your weapon will put some obstruction on your screen that doesn't need to be there. And that's actually why I don't run any optics on most of my SMGs. That was another question that I used to get all the time, and that's pretty much the reason why. Since I don't use them, there's really no reason for them to be there. Now, earlier in the video, I did say there were exceptions, and the one SMG that really falls into this category is the Ns7 Pdw. With its extended range, using a grip or extended mags instead of a laser and going for more of an ADS approach is perfectly fine. And if you start talking about the Empire-specific first-generation SMGs that have that enticing extended magazine attachment, then there's a debate for that as well. But through, you know, a lot of testing, I've ultimately decided that I prefer the laser on those as well. Aside from maybe the arm assist, I go back and forth on that one. Basically, since it doesn't have that great of reload speed and it spits bullets out so fast, I really have a hard time not using extended mags with that. But pretty much when I'm playing TR, I just default to the Hailstorm anyway. But anyways, guys, I hope this explains why I always hip fire my SMGs and why I recommend doing the same for most infiltrators that are running SMGs. If you have any other questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer them. Or if I missed something completely, which does happen from time to time, make sure you let me know about it. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.